this contest set for one fall is for the WWE Championship.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Welcome to Around the Turnbuckle. I'm Big Al. That guy right there is Professor Keith, the birthday boy. And I want to encourage each and every one of you that is watching to send up a happy birthday comment. I will put it up immediately.
You don't have to, but it would be nice of you.
Encourage. I said it, Professor. I said encourage. I didn't say you have to do it. Anyway, our guest tonight, ladies and gentlemen, from WWX is Mr. Director. What's up, man?
Hey, how you doing? First of all, happy birthday, Professor.
Thank you.
No problem.
There it is, man. All right. So, first and foremost, man, I want to give you appreciation, and I want to also give appreciation with everybody who got me in contact with you. And it was a very exciting situation there. We met a lot of new friends in the Brooklyn area. Guys have been reaching out to me, and that's cool. And I want to have as many of them on as possible. But they're all telling me about this Mr. Director guy, and here he is, WWX. For those of us in PA and New Jersey who don't know a lot about WWX, could you give us the rundown of WWX? How often do they run, the specs on WWX?
Well, for people who want to know what the letters actually mean, it stands for World Wrestling Extreme. It's down here in the Bronx, New York, and started off as a backyard promotion that a lot of people never had a lot of confidence in. It was something that was truly built literally from the ground up. And I'm happy to say that when they moved to a new location to officially open their first school, I was told I was the first one there. I was the first one to join in, other than the people who were already part of the roster. So I literally got to watch this place form into a legitimate promotion. They try to run at least once every month, and we have free shows at least every other Sunday or every other 2-3 Sundays. And those events that we do every other 2-3 Sundays, we do for free, actually.
Do you know the hyena? He's been like
some animosity here.
I know the hyena, yeah.
Okay. David Motorman's here, says, good evening, gentlemen, and happy birthday, Professor.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, everybody who's wished me a happy birthday so far here and on Facebook. I really do appreciate it, guys.
Love it. So, all right, man, that sounds great, WWX. And so how did you get involved with professional wrestling? Because it takes a special, listen, a lot of us would love to do it. Keith and I probably would love to do it, but physically we're not the best athletes, blah, 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 you know what I'm saying? So we got involved the best way we know how, which is
I learned how to spell athlete. I think that was as far as I got, learning how to spell athlete properly.
There it is. So Keith and I know how to talk. We're good talkers, right? And also Keith is an encyclopedic mind as far as wrestling goes. So we started this little podcast almost 4 years ago just to support the local talent in PA, New Jersey, New York, and it's kind of snowballed. We've had people on from all over the country. We've even had a couple guys on from across the pond, and it's been a blast. And then along the way, we've met some friends locally. Keith has gotten to live his dream as a play-by-play commentator, and I have gotten to live my dream as a ring announcer. So what made you fall in love, Mr. Director? What made you fall in love with professional wrestling? Because you wouldn't be here talking to us today if you didn't love it.
Oh, no, not at all. I'll never forget. I was 5 years old. It was literally my first ever Monday Night Raw I ever watched was when Kane lost the mask to Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Oh, that was big.
That was my first ever time watching wrestling. And a lot of people are like, wait, so who was your favorite? And I was like, Kane. And everyone's like, wait, the guy who electrocuted Shane McMahon with the car battery. Stuff on fire. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. I was like, I feel like I should be booing this guy, but I love this guy, you know? And as you know, and literally the rest I could say is history. And, you know, I always felt like deep down as I got older, I was like, this is what I want to do. But I never discovered it right away. You know, I was always just a longtime fan. I met one of my best friends in high school. I was like, I finally met someone that's as big as a wrestling fan as I am. And once him and I got talking, we talked on the phone every night after school about wrestling, even if wrestling wasn't on TV. And him and we were talking, and I just said, you know what, man? This is what we got to do. This is it. You and me, we got to do this. And ever since then, back in high school, I've journeyed literally to multiple schools to finally become who I am, and that is Mr. Director.
Talk about some of the guys that you trained with, some of the guys that have trained you also.
I've trained at originally Bronx Wrestling Federation. It was down here in Hunts Point. I was trained by Bronco International. I was trained by the Caveman, Anastasia Morningstar, El Louis Lindo. Then after that, I went all the way to Long Island to travel at Creative Pro. So Brian Myers, MJF, Max Caster. I'm pretty sure a lot of those people won't even remember me. I was very on and off. The traveling is very difficult, especially from the Bronx all the way to Long Island. Honestly, though, I was doing something very stupid at the time. I would Uber during rush hour from my job over 2 hours to get to Long Island just so I could make it to training on time. And I would Uber all the way back home after training was over. To me, it's like, I know it wasn't the smartest thing to do, but to me, it was the passion. I didn't care. I was like, I'm going to go. I'm going to be there. I'm going to train.
And if you're going to do it, I mean, that was a great school to do it with. Creative Pro is a great reputation.
Absolutely, with Pat Buck. You know, they're strict. They're very strict, but they're also very welcoming. They're hard on you because they want you to get better. But like how you guys were saying earlier, you guys said you're not the best athletes. At the time, I wasn't taking myself seriously. I wasn't taking my health seriously. I never worked out. I was only training there. My cardio was terrible. And I mean terrible, terrible, terrible. And I started doubting myself. And that wasn't helping me either. But then after that, I found a promotion then in New Jersey that I would travel to from the Bronx called Spartan Championship Wrestling, where I trained with Vic Vaughn, Kareem West. I got to meet quite a few people there. They're an on and off promotion. They're running shows again, which I'm very happy about. They were a very welcoming place. And after that, I found WWX. And what makes it such a blessing that I found World Wrestling Extreme, it's right across the street from my house. So I'm like, finally, I save money.
I got a question here for you from our old buddy in South Carolina, Christopher Vant, who says, so you went from a fan to a wrestler. Do you have any wrestling experience, like even high schools, collegiate, anything like that?
No, sadly, my high school didn't have wrestling or anything like that. A teacher wanted to try to get that stuff into the school, but it was a very Catholic high school. They didn't want to do that. So I was like, are you serious? I just found out one of the old Dita discipline back in the 70s would let kids box in detention as punishment. You're not going to what the heck? Come on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so talk about that first match in front of a crowd. Like, how did you feel? Who did you take on?
I was in a battle royal.
A lot of guys, battle royals or tag matches.
Yeah, it was a battle royal. And honestly, though, very happy. It was Fight Before Christmas in WWX. I went in. There were two opponents in the ring, one by the name of Tarzan. The other one, his name is the Boricua Bad Boy, Jeremy Rodriguez. The second I got in there, I splashed both of them in the corner, and I wrestled with a vest and a tie. I wrapped Jeremy around the neck with my vest and tossed him right out of the ring. And I went to get on Tarzan. And then afterwards, another wrestler, the Oni God, Mr. H, came in and threw me out. So I counted the time when I watched it over, my 1 minute of a debut. 1 minute is all I needed, and I felt like I did leave an impression. I just wish I was able to last longer.
But I mean, you got an elimination at least.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got at least one.
You can't argue about getting an elimination in that minute.
Yes, and two of those guys. Yeah, two of those guys that I was in the ring with, I had more history with, which I was very grateful for. So it wasn't the last time I saw at least two of them in there.
So I got a question here from James Carter. Says, Mr. Director, what is it about WWX that keeps you going back?
Other than it's across the street.
Besides that, it's just, honestly, it's the first place I could really call my home. It's the first place that I never felt insecure. I never felt overwhelmed. I never felt anxious. Like, I have a tendency to overthink a lot. I deal with a lot of anxiety and depression. And just there, whenever I'm there, I feel like I've really come close with everybody. I've really formed a real bond with everybody. And I could really call everyone there my family, no matter what goes on. Obviously, no wrestling place is perfect. There's always going to be issues, whether it's in the ring, out of the ring, behind the scenes. Like, you know, whenever a script of mine doesn't go correctly, whenever someone tries to write their own story while I'm filming my own, I digress though. But truly, I can call them my family, and they treat me very well there.
Have you ever wrestled for any promotion so far other than WWX?
Yes, I've wrestled for East Coast Professional Wrestling, where you guys know on the last 2 shows ago, Attilio Aprile. He wrestles for East Coast Pro. I wrestled for them in Queens against the corner man, Juan Jeremy. Him and I have a little bit of history. I won't get into that, though. I've wrestled for Lucha Libre Promotions. That was my first ever traveling promotion that I had to go wrestle for. I traveled all the way to Washington, D.C., and it was a big dream come true for me because I love Lucha Libre. I honor Lucha Libre. I respect Lucha Libre, as you can see.
Yeah,
and
right.
Such an honor to get it. Oh, thank you. And it was such an honor to be able to actually get a taste of what it's like to be part of something lucha related.
Tell us about Mr. Director. Tell us who he is. Where did he come from?
Well, Mr. Director is someone that has a love for the industry in general, and he prepares to give picture-perfect performances wherever he goes. He's the embodiment of entertainment. He is the cinematic savior of this industry. And, you know, he realizes, though, without the fans, what can you really put on for people? I'll admit, when I first started, I was selfish with my performances. I was selfish with my films. Every time I was in the ring, I was only making movies for myself, for my own gratification, for my own satisfaction. And then I had to come to realize the fans are the ones that give me the views. The fans are the ones that critique my work. The fans are the ones that put those reviews out online. And hell, like, without them, what am I really doing this for? You know, I had to get out of that mindset and realize, you know what? The fans of WWX deserve to have someone to put on a performance for them, to make them the viewing audience and also make them a part of a movie. Because I feel like deep down, we all want to be part of a movie at least once.
Absolutely. I've seen footage of you. You do a version of a cutter called the Director's Cut.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you want to speak on that before I ask the next thing, or?
Oh, no. Just yes. I thought you were going to keep talking.
No, I was. Is there other things in your arsenal that, you know, you are developing, you have developed, or you are looking to develop?
Well, ever since I got injured, hence the crutch, I've really been studying a lot more technical style wrestling, grappling, submission based. So I've been studying a lot of people, but before then I was all high flying based, you know. And for someone my size, I'm only 5'2", but I feel like I got a lot of power behind me. I remember during one of our big shows, my move, I had a guy up on the middle buckle. His name is Sir Arameus Rome, my first official rival in this industry. And I hit him with what I would call a reverse Spanish fly. It's not your ordinary Spanish fly. It's something different. And, you know, it's actually on YouTube in WWX. The event is called Wrestle Rebellion. If you want to see it, it was the move that ended it. that I was able to hit for the final scene of the film. So if anyone wants to go check it out, I definitely recommend you go to World Wrestling Extreme on YouTube and go check it out. I've been practicing, I think, a little too many moves. I got too many, things on my plate. But at the same time, I'd rather know more and not use all of it than not know something and then having to end up using it.
Makes sense. And I mean, I'm glad to hear too, you're saying you're not just going for the high flying, but you're working on the ground game too. Because I always think about, to me, the logic of it, especially when I'm calling a match. If I have a situation where, especially if it's a baby face that's smaller, that is in there with a heel that's bigger, I'm trying to put over, okay, what you can do realistically to try to match up with that guy, and that ability to maybe, like, okay, he goes to grab you, you drop down, drop toe hold, do a calf crush or something like that. Like, get the ground stuff going, because if your whole arsenal is just to fly at him, it's like, okay, you jump off the top rope, he catches you, why doesn't he just flatten you and lay you out, and that's the end of the match right there. So I like the idea of, like, have something to set up, do those like ground and pounds, take the vertical base away, wear them down, and then logically you can start doing the flying and the stuff like that. And then it's like, oh, okay, it makes sense now because he was working on his legs the whole match or something, so he can't stand very well or he can't get up very fast. So now I can go do the high flying stuff and try to put him away.
Exactly. Like I at the time I've been out that I haven't been wrestling, I've been studying all that stuff. I've been studying a lot of Japanese style submission and technical wrestling. I've been studying lucha especially, and I've begun to notice, like, everyone who's my size that wrestles, everyone automatically expects you to do high flying. Everyone automatically expects you to just fly around, jump around, practically call me an acrobat. But I want to go against that. I want to not be part of that stereotype. I want to prove that a small wrestler doesn't just have to jump around. I can submission, I can grapple, I can strike, and I can be powerful,
And that'll make you more memorable too, because, well, if I can go get 50 guys that can jump off the top rope, but how many guys can I go get that can jump off the top rope, but also give me a technical mat match if I need that? The more, I always say that, the more you know and the more versatile you can make yourself, because that's the whole business, right? Is selling yourself and selling what you can bring to it. You have to be in the, in your case, the Mr. Director business.
Exactly. I saw someone said, "Hi, Mr. Director." Hello.
That was Meow Tailhead. Meow Tailhead, if I'm saying it right. I'm sorry.
Hello, Miss. Hello, sir. But yeah, exactly. Like, I'm trying to prove that, just because I'm a short person doesn't mean I cannot give you more than what you already expect from me. And studying mainly, I've watched CMLL in Mexico. They are the longest running wrestling promotion on the entire planet, 90 years. And all their guys in their mini division, because it's a dream of mine to go there. I feel like if I at least make it there, I've made it in my career. And obviously, I would most likely end up in the mini division. But the mini guys don't just high fly. They are having technical masterpieces of matches. And you got guys that are like even smaller than them that don't high fly. They're actually doing ground-based wrestling. And I'm like, you see, that's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm trying to be. I'm not just trying to be your stereotypical high flyer anymore. And look what it did to me. I had ruptured my ACL and had to get surgery.
Well, I was going to ask you about that next, but before I do, speaking of Attilio Aprile, he's here and he says, "Yo, short but talented. Pleasure watching you grow."
Thanks a lot, Attilio. I really appreciate that. Attilio's been
Go ahead. You can talk to him. Sure.
Yeah.
No, just Attilio, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. You've really been a big help. Attilio's actually been somewhat taking of a mentorship to me. When I first met him at ECPW's training school, he was just sitting there editing. I went to go talk to him, and we just kept talking. And it started from just talking from a business standpoint to me actually getting to know him. Yeah. And we actually have quite a bit in common, more than I expected. And not only has he become a mentor to me, but also a good friend. So, Attilio, thank you for the kind words. I really appreciate that.
Well, listen to us. A friend of Attilia's is a friend of ours because he's become a friend of our show. That was his second or third time on, and he constantly sends us guys, especially guys that are new or guys that really want to get their name out there or whatever. We can't appreciate him enough, and he always is giving. Like you said, he was sitting there editing. You went over and had a conversation with him. We have conversations with him for 15, 20 minutes before the show. Then we do the show. Then we talk to him about a half hour after the show. Keith will tell you. And every time he's so giving, and any way he can help anybody, he's very, informative. There's a lot of information in there that he just wants to help.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I feel like I've picked that up from him quite a bit because a lot of times when new students go to WWX, I'll admit, I'm green as a Christmas tree. I haven't even technically been in a full year. I could have, but the injury, so I don't count it. But I technically haven't been in a full year yet, but I always love to show the new students at WWX stuff that I'm learning on the side that I'm not learning at practice. Not saying I don't learn stuff at practice, of course.
You're right.
Of course, if we haven't learned one thing one day, I like to just watch it at home on my computer or my television. And then when we learn it at practice, I'm ready. So I try to just learn as much as possible. So I like to show people what I can do, what I can bring to the table, but not just for me to show off, because I would want you guys to learn it as well.
Hyena's back. He says, "Oh, director, when you coming back so I can put you away and show you what a real documentary is?"
Yeah, he's been a bit of a thorn in my
side. A thorn in your side. All right.
Him and I were actually going to have a match for Azteca de Lucha Libre, but I started noticing that the injury I had was far too great. So it ended up not happening. So he's been a little sour about it. But hey, what can you do?
So he's nothing to mess around with.
So let's talk about that. All right. So you have the crutch sitting there. We know you're injured at the moment. How did it happen? And what's the prognosis? How long will it be till you can get back in the ring?
Well, I was just training. That's the crazy part. I was literally just training. I did a move. And the crazy thing is I was on my feet when I landed the move. And then out of nowhere, my leg just folded in on me, just gave out on me. I was on the floor. And it was a side of me that no one had ever seen before. I was screaming. I was cursing. I was crying. I was hitting things. No one had ever seen me like that before. And it's people would tell me hey, it's okay for you to act like that. No one's been in that situation, or if they have, they understand. But to me, it felt a little embarrassing because I'm usually not like that. It was just a side of me where all the emotions came out. The pain was just something I had never felt before. So it was just so aggravating, so frustrating. And it was 2 days before our big event, our WrestleMania. It was 2 days before. And I was walking into that show in a title versus title match. So you can imagine all the emotions and all the thoughts that were running through my head when that happened.
Well, the good news is, the silver lining in this dark cloud is that it didn't happen in front of those people at that WrestleMania type event.
That's exactly what I was thinking. But I was an idiot and still went to go do the show anyway. I walked in with a knee brace on. I was wearing a compression sleeve, my knee pad, and my brace on top of my knee pad. I was already walking with 3 layers around my leg because to me, I was training on and off since I was 19 years old. And I felt like I had pushed myself and worked so hard to not do it. So I didn't care. I just went and did it. And the crazy thing was I did it without even knowing what the injury was yet. I never went to the doctor. I never went to an urgent care. I never went to the emergency room. I just went and did it because by the next day I was walking. Actually, I had a limp, but I was walking. And then the day of the show, I was walking. The limp was even less. Oh, and by the way, the show that I'm talking about was Wrestle Rebellion that I brought up earlier. We sold the place out, 250 people. So
Nice.
and a double title contest. I was like, I am not missing.
Yeah.
This. I'm not missing this.
Right.
And to answer your other question, they said that I wouldn't be able to wrestle for like 9 months to a year, but
Okay.
I'm actually recovering a lot faster than they expected. They said that they could clear me at least for full training soon. I've been at training. I've only done little things, like little stuff that would be safe for my leg.
Right.
But now they're saying they could clear me for full training. And I'm thinking, hell, only 3 months after surgery. I had the surgery in November. We're in like we're in March now. So December, January, February. Yeah, only 3 months after surgery, and it's an ACL rupture. I'm like, hell, I'll take it. I'm happy that I can at least go to training and rather than doing nothing at all.
Chris has two big questions here. I'll put them up one at a time. At 5'2", is it hard to get into the business unless you have some talent? Can you talk about how hard it was to get started? Hardships you might have come across?
Yeah, it's like when you're already going into the business in this industry, you always take everything under consideration. You think about your height, you think about your weight, you think about the shape your body's in, you think about what are people going to think of you, you think about are people going to support you. But honestly, when I started, I actually was just excited. The overthinking didn't come right away until I started having days at training where I was like, my first bad day at training. And I'm like, oh no, am I meant for this? Oh no, am I going to be good at this? Because at Bronx Wrestling Federation, I was overthinking quite a bit. Not too much, but I was overthinking. The ring was super, super hard. Like, because we shared the ring with people who did boxing. So,
you're not bumping in a wrestling ring.
And for wrestlers, I took my first bump and I was like, and I was like, worth it.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, but but the fact that I started coming in with people who did lucha, or at least to a certain aspect, and I know luchadors aren't the biggest of wrestlers, the height was actually not that big of an issue for me. It was just my overall talent and what I could bring to the table. That was the hardship for me. Because like I said, I have a tendency to overthink and get anxious very easily. So that was what was my struggle. My hardship and my struggle was mainly myself. I was holding myself back a lot. I was getting in my own way. Hence why I said I was training on and off for years. I could have started way sooner if I dedicated myself back then the way I do now.
Yeah, because I think height isn't the barrier it used to be, right? Because I think the luchadors, I think the WCW cruiserweight division, I think everything Rey Mysterio's done and other guys, like, it's still going to be bigger guys are always going to get more of a chance because, like they always say, you can't teach being 7 feet tall. You can't teach being that guy that walks through the airport and everybody's head just automatically turns and goes, holy crap, that guy's a giant, or, holy crap, that guy's 300 pounds of solid muscle or whatever. But I think it's gotten more democratic about body size and, there isn't so much of that, like, oh, you're too small, no way. I think that barrier has mostly been knocked down. And I think with the democratization of the indies, with so many independent organizations now and so many schools and stuff, which is obviously a double-edged sword. I mean, I always listen to the old timers and whatnot talk about it, and I kind of liken it to, that joke about voting, where it's like the greatest thing about this country is everybody gets to vote in the same elections. And the worst thing about this country is everybody gets to vote in the same elections.
Yeah, and another thing too is you don't see a lot of 7-foot guys in Mexico and Japan.
No,
their crop of wrestlers when they come out, and it happens it's like every 5 or 10 years you get this new crop of Mexican luchadors. You get this new crop of Japanese wrestlers. None of them are 7 feet tall, but they're all passionate. They love the business. They don't give a damn about their bodies. They put their bodies on the line for our entertainment, and they go out there and they just fight, and they try to make it, and they try to make it in the business. And sometimes they get there, and sometimes they don't. But at the same time, you are just jumping in, and like you said, while you're injured, you're making the best of your time. You're watching footage. You're trying to learn different styles than just flying around all the time. You're trying to learn some ground and pound, some submission stuff, maybe some mat work. My perfect example of that is Bryan Danielson, because Bryan Danielson could run with the luchadors, could run with the high flyers, could bounce off the ring and dump and do backflips, and he can do all that stuff. He can do suicide dives and whatever. He can do flips over the top ropes. But a lot of times he didn't have to. There were times also where he took on guys bigger than himself. When he was in WWE in WrestleMania 30, 10 years ago, he was wrestling Triple H in the first night, and then he's wrestling Batista and Randy Orton in the second night.
No, at the time it was
the same night.
Yeah, it was one night. It was all the same night.
It was all right. Okay, so yeah, and there you're talking about a guy who is under 6 feet tall, who became WWE champion against three of the best to ever do it, and in one night proved that if you have the heart, if you have the passion, if you have the drive, you can do anything. And that's the beauty of professional wrestling.
Absolutely. It took me a long time to realize that, because again, with all my overthinking that I did, but I have come to realize that, and I'm so happy to be in the position that I'm in. Well, not literally this position, but
obviously,
a moment, but you'll get better. And,
that'll heal, and you'll get back in there.
Yeah.
Chris, his other question was, how did you get into the business? We talked about that before. You sought training out and things like that. He did ask, how can one get into the business? Obviously you would seek out something locally, right? I mean, like he's down in South Carolina.
No, yeah, I actually found out about Bronx Wrestling Federation, the first place I trained at, completely by accident. I was in my college at the time, and I was just talking with someone who was a wrestling fan, and he said that he knew a place where you could train that was in the Bronx, and right away I was like, excuse me? Details, please? Yeah, I like mentally, I grabbed like a pen, paper. I was like, where, when, what, why? Like, I was so ecstatic, and he told me the address. I looked it up right away. I did Google Maps from my house to where it was, and I was like, holy crap, I gotta go. And when I went there, I literally was there for 7 days straight. I went every single day for a whole week. But in general speaking, you could just look stuff up. You could just, as silly as it sounds, I go on Google Maps and I just type wrestling schools.
Right.
And a lot of places I found, there was a point where I was trying to plan to move to Florida to learn wrestling there, because that's like a hot spot for wrestling.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I found all these different schools. I found the World Wrestling Network training center. May he rest in peace. I found Scott Hall's wrestling.
Scott Hall's wrestling. Yep.
And that they were all great distances from where I probably would have stayed and lived at the time, but I didn't care. I was just like, this is a goal for me. But then, lo and behold, WWX
right
around. So yeah, even when you go to shows and you talk with wrestlers during fan meet and greets and stuff like that, they're willing to tell you stuff. They're willing to give you advice. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And there's nothing wrong with saying asking what did you do when you started? What do I need to wear? What do I research? There's nothing wrong with asking any of those types of questions, and they will tell you. I actually found out about WWX by meeting a wrestler at a show that I went to in Jersey, and he called the Caveman right over, and Caveman told me, yeah, we're opening a school down in the Bronx. And then when I looked up the address, I was like, this can't be right. I really thought it was a glitch, and I was like, wait a minute. Then when I saw it was right across the street, I was like, hallelujah,
yep.
Hallelujah. And the rest is history from there. So, Chris, I would just say do research. If you're a big That's awesome. I love your heart and how dedicated you are. Love me. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I really do appreciate
He's
that.
a big dude. Like he's a guy that grew up in my hometown. He lives down in South Carolina. He's doing very well for himself. But he's a big, muscular dude, former football player, et cetera, et cetera. Like he could do this even at his age. I mean, he's a little bit younger than me, but I'm just saying, even at his age, he's in phenomenal shape. I think I think he can do it.
I'm starting to feel like he might be getting bit.
He's been hinting, Professor. He's been hinting at it for a long time, and he is on every show, talking to us, talking to wrestlers, picking their brains. You think he hasn't been doing it for a reason? There's something there, Chris. There's something there, buddy.
I can see it for sure. I can see it.
James Carter's back. He says, when you return to the ring, who are some of the people you are looking forward to working with?
That is a tough question because there are so many people. I'm sorry, one second. Let me just adjust the camera.
Yep.
Oh dear. Okay. No, my God. Well, I feel like I have some unfinished business with Sir Arameus Rome.
Mm-hmm.
Not gonna lie, he kind of was part of the reason as to why my injury got pretty bad to where it was. So, our rivalry finished at Wrestle Rebellion, but I'm willing to bring it back if he's ready. I would love to work with a man named Mel the Blind Fury Ramos. He currently holds the title that I was holding that I never lost, by the way. I had to surrender it. So if Mel, if you're watching, if you're still the champion when I come back, just letting you know. I would love to go back to Lucha Libre Promotions. Hell, I would love to work with Attilio. I would love to work with him one day. Mr. Carter, right there.
Sure.
Sir, would love to work with you. There's also
he sounds like he was hinting at. Why would he ask that question if he wasn't hinting at it?
Exactly. And there's a lot of new people at WWX that I haven't wrestled yet, and I'm willing to name all of them. Day One, Damon Hunter, Max Capacity, Joe Trash, Lance Handsome, The Egoist, Dante Farmito, AB Swag, Tarzan. I would love to just work with everybody when I come back. Anybody and everybody. I would love to work with Caveman. I would love to face our undisputed champion, Chris Angels, too. I would love to wrestle more for ECPW as well, try to get more done there. And I would definitely say a dream match of mine for sure is to face Weber Hatfield, the guy who was once Boomer Hatfield, the son of Dasher Hatfield, a.k.a. Avery Good from Chikara Wrestling. I would love to face that guy one day. He really inspired me a lot before I got back into training, watching him improve and just what he's able to do. I would also love to make history and be a part of the Super 8 from East Coast Wrestling Association in Jersey. My first ever participating in a wrestling show that was non-wrestling was ECWA when I helped set up a show. And I did research on them. I found out they not only run the Super 8, speaking of longevity, they are the longest running indie in America. So I'm like, hell, I would love to be a part of history and be a part of the ECWA Super 8.
Awesome. I got
a tournament that gets national attention. So it's a great opportunity.
Yes, absolutely. Like, it's such a shame because I feel like they don't get enough attention as much as they deserve.
Yeah.
Because of the history that they have. Like, I understand that years have gone on, times change, things happen. They're very family-friendly, oriented type of business of wrestling promotion, but the matches are still great. I love being there. I would just love to have the chance to be a part of it, even if it's just one time.
All right, I got a bunch of comments and questions here.
Let's go.
Meowtle heads back. I'm going to Rome next week. Want me to take notes on Sir Rome's potential weaknesses for you while I'm there?
No, that's okay. I kind of got an idea of what he's capable of, what he's not capable of. And also, Sir Arameus Rome, I just want to talk about him for a second. He was my first ever official singles match. And we went out there and we put on a hell of a performance. And I can say that I won my first ever singles match against him while he was a champion. So I felt like that really spoke volumes and helped me a lot with the beginning of my career, where it was going to go. Even though, again, I haven't been around for long, just to me personally, the fact that I was able to get that win over him, again, in my first singles match, like officially too, I was so happy, even though he decided to suicide dive at me right after the match through the curtain. So you can see he doesn't take loss very well.
I guess not.
Really not.
Big Dave's back. He says, I really appreciate the style and dedication of Mr. Director to his craft.
Thank you, David. I really appreciate that. I really try. I'm really trying hard to do what I got to do.
Katrina Love says, what are your goals for the year, knowing you're coming back after your injury?
Well, I would like to touch on something real quick, if you guys don't mind, of course.
Oh, sure.
You see this belt right here? I'll actually hold it up to the camera.
Absolutely.
A lot of people don't know this championship right here. This is called the Starline Pro World Heavyweight Wrestling Championship. You see, Starline Pro was an upstate wrestling promotion that I was actually part of before WWX, before ECPW. A lot of people don't know about it because, honestly, it didn't last that long. So I don't talk about it so much. And I'm not going to lie, this was like very near and dear to me because, technically speaking, this was the first ever championship I owned. This was the first ever championship I won, technically. And, I was a big part of helping this promotion, Starline Pro, grow. And before anyone asks, what is Starline? It's kind of like a play on words where you say the stars align and you combine it together. It was a place that it was about, bringing in young talent, brand new talent to get them out there. And hence Starline, the stars align for whoever won. The first ever champion, his name was Jumpin' Jack Hersey. Super athletic, very talented man, very dedicated, very hardworking guy. His finisher was a diving crossbody, kind of like a Ricky Steamboat of sorts.
Yeah.
The way he did it, so miraculous, so beautiful. He would even do it from a springboard, and he was like at the height of where a belt would hang for a ladder match. It was just so amazing watching him wrestle. We actually had a wrestler named Lumberjack. It was Lumber Space Jack. And I was like, genius. That is genius.
It's awesome.
And we had another wrestler named Jade Banks. The S was with a $sign.
Nice.
I was lucky enough to end up winning this myself. I only named a few talents, not all of them. I don't want to get big into it. What's sad about it is that, you see, Starline Pro was Lumberjack's thing. And it never lasted long to the point where he wanted it to. So he got very depressed about it. Literally, and I kid you not, I witnessed it myself when I went to go see him one day, deleting everything of Starline Pro. If you try to look up anything about Starline Pro, you will not find it. He became so depressed after we could not continue shows, and I felt for him because I felt like I was a big part of helping this become a thing. So to answer Katrina's question, the reason why I give this backstory on this is because it was such a big part of me. And I'm not going to lie, I felt like the depression hit me as well, to the point where I never really talk about it. I never really bring it up. My goal is to one day bring this title back and make it an official wrestling championship that can be won, and for the sole purpose as a tournament, and make it an official championship for upcoming guys or guys that haven't been in the business that long, because the stars can't align for anyone in this industry when you have enough hard work and dedication. And to maybe one day hit him up and be like, bro, I want to have a chance to bring Starline Pro back, hopefully one day. So I wanted to show this and talk about this because I was hoping to get a question like that. Thank you, Katrina. But other goals of mine are to get back the title that I never lost, my WWX Bronx United States Championship. I won Also at Wrestle Rebellion in the double title contest, I retained my Bronx US title and I won our global intercontinental championship. And, so a big goal of mine is to win that title back. I would love to win the ECPW Light Heavyweight Championship, the current champion, Ray Kalitri. I would also love to go to Spartan Championship Wrestling and wrestle someone called the Comic Book Warrior, Gabe Baez. Incredible talent. I definitely recommend if you guys ever want to talk to someone who's very hard work, very driven, you could talk to him. Very great guy. He's been very helpful. A lot of talent over there too. Like I said, I would like to go back to Lucha Libre Promotions. I would like to get more opportunities just to travel more, become more experienced, wrestle with people who have the same style that I'm striving to produce for everybody.
So Attilio's back. He says, get better soon. Heal the right way. Don't push too hard, too fast.
That's not the first time I've heard that from him.
Yeah,
and,
he's right.
He'd like to work with me too. There we go. We have something. ECPW. Come on.
There it is.
But
there it is.
Yes. But Attilio, don't worry. I always keep you updated with everything. You know that I'm doing what I can. I'm trying to be as careful as possible. I'm listening to my physical therapist. I'm listening to my doctors. I'm just going at whatever pace I can for the time being.
Katrina's back. She says, so you plan on working with newcomers? Is being a mentor something you'd like to do one day?
Absolutely. I would love to do something like that because I just feel like even though I'm still young myself and I'm still not super, super experienced, I feel like for the little bit that I've done, it's been enough to be able to talk to people about and to tell them where you can go with stuff like this in such a short amount of time. And yeah. I never thought I would say this so soon, but I love showing people stuff. I love teaching submissions. I love teaching different chaining. I love teaching new moves and just a way to present yourself, because presenting myself was something very hard. It still is sometimes. People think I have the mask, I have all this look and stuff, but presenting myself is something that's still quite difficult for me that I'll admit I have to work on more. But I would love to be a mentor and show people stuff one day. Being a mentor could help me with Starline Pro one day in the future. You never know.
Meowdlehead says, want to tell us about your work with other projects? You just talked about Starline.
Yeah. Unless you want to keep the set. Well, no, I'm willing to talk.
Yeah. I'm sorry. What did that say? Unless you want to keep that separate from wrestling stuff.
Jack, he made me keep the title. He said that I'd be able to talk about it if I wanted to. It really hit hard. So I won't talk about it too much because I haven't talked with him in a while. We're not like out of contact or anything, but I just would like to talk about what an amazing place it was, because I feel like if that place didn't go down, I would still be up there upstate right now doing it with them. And very homegrown crowd, same audience every time. Our first ever show we did actually, hold on. I realized I had my history wrong. Jay Banks, our stereotypical rich guy wrestler, the first ever champion, and robbed Lumberjack of becoming the first ever champion. He bought his way into the main event and won. And the crowd was going nuts. Back, me and Jack looked at each other. Not Lumberjack, but Jack Hersey. And we were like, we've got something here.
Yep.
Have got something here, especially with a reaction like that. And this is supposed to be like the main event, our first big show. And when I mean first show, I mean like our first big event, not like a weekly, monthly show. And we were crowning the first champion. I was in the opening match that night. I was working heel against someone named LV3. That was like just a play on his name because he's the third in his family. So him and I had a tremendous match with each other. Great guy. I still keep in contact with him a lot. And so, with Starline, it's not like we did too much to stand out. It's just since we barely got off the ground, we never had a lot of chances to experiment and try new things. But it was what I felt there is what I feel with WWX. Such a home feeling, such a place where you can make friends and form bonds and be a part of a family. And I would just love to have the chance to one day bring that back.
So when you're healed, you got WXW, you got ECPW. Obviously, you got an open invite up there. You have Starline on the back burner, ready to bring that back to the front. All these things going on, but do you intend on just focusing on those things, or do you intend on actually like stretching yourself out to other places as well?
Well, I would obviously love to stretch myself out to other places. It's just the Starline Pro thing, back burner. It's just kind of like a wishful thinking type of thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because like I wouldn't want to do it unless Jack Hersey does it with me, or he at least gives me permission to do it.
Right.
You know? And
Yeah.
I would love to find the right team and the right people to work on it with. Because again, even if I can't bring back Starline Pro, I want to bring back this championship and make it an official wrestling championship, you know?
Right.
But in general, like that's something for another time, you know, that's in the future, whenever it happens, if it ever happens, that's what I would like to do. But for now, I want to travel. I want to wrestle other places. I want to show people what I'm capable of. Obviously, the end goal for me is either to get to WWE one day, but I would also be satisfied with my career if I could make it to CMLL in Mexico. That is like the ultimate goal for me.
That was one I was going to bring up. But yeah, you already have. Yeah, CML's gaining a lot of traction. They're gaining a lot of buzz. That they had it before, but nowadays with social media and things like that, places where you can find wrestling, it's not necessarily available to us like on network television yet. I mean, maybe they will someday, but I'm saying it's accessible, and so it's a destination that a lot more guys are talking about versus, because WWE, the thing with WWE and AEW is some of those spots are very few, and it's like the NFL. You can be the best football player in the world or one of the best football player in the world and still not make it to the NFL because they have the elite of the elite. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And like I've studied a lot about CMLL. They do not play around. You have to do a tryout just to make it into their school. And
Right.
I watched their stuff because on YouTube you could watch their events and stuff. It's very cheap too. It's only $8.99 a month, and you get everything. Their pay-per-views and weekly shows. And they did a showcase on YouTube with their trainees, and they had judges there writing notes and talking about the trainees. And I'm like,
they were scouting.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But honestly, I love that though, because especially in Mexico, they take things to heart. They have so much passion.
Yes, that's the word. Passion is the word for Mexican wrestling, and it has been for a long time with them, with AAA, and look at all the stars that have come from Mexico.
Yeah.
Or at least if they weren't necessarily born there, they wrestled down there and they became big stars up here. So,
and some of them become national heroes. I mean, look at Santo. You can go on Tubi, and I guarantee you will be able to find just about any movie that Santo made against the vampires, the zombies. Santo saved the world, man. He was saving the world.
Like there's two documentaries that I watched like religiously called Tales of the Masked Men and Lucha Mexico. And especially in Tales of the Masked Men, they give a lot of detail and give a lot of backstory on El Santo.
Chris says, wish you luck and hope for the bright future. Love this show and love hearing your stories of future talent. Katrina Love this is one last question from Katrina Love, because I got one last question for you and we're going to wrap this up. Katrina Love says, where does your genuine love for wrestling come?
Honestly, the way I could answer that is just growing up with it. I would watch it with my brother and my dad. And I'm not gonna lie, a lot of times sorry, excuse me, sorry about that.
I know all about that. You're not paying attention to me.
Yeah, what's
ma'am,
going? Yeah.
ma'am, please, over there. No, but yeah, like I was watching with my brother and my father growing up, and a lot of times where I wasn't at school, and like I was just home. I wasn't at school. People were working. I was home by myself. What was there for me all the time, especially when I was depressed or anything, was watching wrestling. I was watching old TNA matches. I was watching WWE matches. It's weird. Like everyone's talking about John Cena and everyone's talking about Batista, Triple H. Me, I was watching Hulk Hogan. I was watching Andre. I was watching, matches from back then. I felt like I grew a connection with wrestling the more I was just home all the time, not really doing anything. And with YouTube was my best friend when it came to studying more wrestling and watching a lot more wrestling.
There's a lot out there. There's a lot more.
Much out there.
There's so much out there that Keith and I had no idea until we started doing this how much is out there. It's crazy.
Oh yeah.
One last question. Travis Kelce. Travis Kelly. Yes. Travis Kelce's here? Yeah. No, Travis Kelly says, Mr. Director, what's your favorite moment in your career so far, and what is the next milestone you have?
Oh man, I would definitely say my favorite moment was when I won my not this one, but like my first championship in WWX. I actually wrestled the Boricua bad boy, Jeremy Rodriguez, who I brought up earlier when this started. Him and I were wrestling for the vacant Bronx United States Championship. I won, and it was just such an emotional moment for me because I didn't know that this was happening. After I won, I was just celebrating. My mom and my stepfather were sitting in the crowd. My mom apparently was crying. I didn't even notice she was crying. She was very happy for me. But I turn around and the entire locker room just storms out into the ring to congratulate me. And I didn't know that was happening. So it hit me right then and there. And I had such an emotional moment. I was so grateful. I was so happy. And I was just like, you know what? This is why I do this, just to feel that love and that connection. And then, just to actually say all of it finally paid off. I won technically my second, but at least my first championship in WWX. And I was just, wow. I still can't believe it to this day that when I look back on it and I think what I had to do to get there, it came a lot sooner than expected. I'll admit that. But hey, I'm happy it did. I'm happy that people saw enough in me to give me that opportunity to try my best and win. And I did. And for a big milestone for me in my career, I would love to just elevate WWX to something bigger. And I guess like a lot of these questions are like kind of similar. So I kind of only got like the same answer. So it's just more like just going to keep shooting for the stars, going to keep trying to travel more, going to keep trying to wrestle more. I actually would love to go to South Carolina and wrestle, believe it or not. I would love to wrestle for Ohio Valley one day. So traveling through Ohio, Kentucky, would love to go there. But for right now, when I get back, my main goal in mind, not only is to elevate WWX, but to get back my Bronx United States Championship, to get that back because I never lost it. I had to relinquish it, understandably so. So I will just love to get it back.
Well, listen, brother, this hour flew by, and I want to thank each and every person that asked him questions or commented. I won't go through you all because there were so many. It was great. Sometimes we have 2 or 3 people asking you questions. Man, you had a couple dozen asking you questions. It was great. And they just kept coming, and I couldn't keep up with them. So thank you to everybody who commented or asked Mr. Director questions. We appreciate it on Around the Turnbuckle big time. It makes our jobs a lot easier, and you guys did it. You guys did a phenomenal job. You asked some great questions. I hardly asked him anything because you guys asked him all the right questions. It was great. But meantime, man, listen, we wish you nothing but the best. We wish you nothing but quick healing. Get your ass back in that ring where you belong. The passion is there. We've only talked to you for an hour. and we can feel it. You can feel it. People who were watching could feel it. Chris, who's an old friend of mine, lives down in South Carolina. He could feel it. Big Dave, who's a huge fan up here in Pennsylvania, he could feel it. The professor was feeling it. I know that. Everybody was feeling it while you were talking. We could feel the passion you have for this business. And that's step one. You have step one. The rest is up to you. Step one is you have a passion for this business. You're going to get back in the ring. You're going to get your championship back. And then sky's the limit. My last question for you before we get off the air is there a person outside that you would like before you...
1 second, not even joking with you. My battery is literally about to die. Oh my God. I just noticed that. Holy crap. I'm so sorry.
No. It's all good. And if we lose you, we lose you. But just remember that come back.
I'm saving. All right. I'm here.
You're good. You're okay. He plugged it in. You hear it, Keith? Okay.
I saved it.
Is there, before you hang up the boots for good, and I know that's a long way off, is there somebody that you would like to wrestle at least one time before that happens?
Man, what a question to ask. I actually don't know yet.
That's why I wait till the end.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know yet, you don't know yet, and that's fine.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. No, yeah, it's okay. Where you end up. So glad you've had such good success. Thank you, Katrina. I really appreciate that comment. Man, wow.
I'm not talking a dream match. I'm not saying like you're gonna throw out like Eddie Guerrero or, you know what I'm saying, like a name. I'm saying somebody that you could possibly really cross paths with in your journey, and you have a chance. You might have a chance someday to wrestle, whether you end up on TV or not.
No, yeah, like absolutely. One person I would definitely say, not gonna lie, I would definitely say there's this wrestler who I watched from House of Glory in Queens, New York. His name is Cashflow Ken Broadway. I would love to wrestle him at least once. He's still young in his career, so I know like if I ever do get the chance, there could be more opportunities. But with what I've seen him done in House of Glory, I feel that man is like greatly underrated. And actually, you know what? I have a double for this one. Another wrestler, his name is Smiley. He's actually been a big inspiration to me. So to get a chance to face either of them, even if it's only one time, will be honestly one of the single greatest things that could ever happen to me.
Great answer, brother. Listen, we run out of time. We'd love to do this with you again 6 months or a year down the road, see how you're doing, see where you're at. Maybe you'll get that strap back on your shoulder, and we'll talk about that. But we keep track of everybody we interview. We keep track of your progress in your career, and we always have you back on. Hopefully, 6 months to a year from now, we'll have you back on and continue this story and follow your story because, man, Keith and I, man, we admire you. We definitely admire you and your drive. And we really do sincerely mean that you get all you want out of this business because you deserve it if you keep that passion and that drive that you have going.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Oh, and by the way, if anyone's going to ask, how did he just get up without his crutch? I have my brace on before anyone asks. I got my brace. That's why I'm able to do that.
It's all a work, Keith. It's all a work. He is not injured.
A joke with me that one time. One time someone made a joke like that to me. They were like, "Oh, you're not actually injured." I was like, "You want to see the scars?" Like,
all right, man. Don't go anywhere when we go off the air. Professor, next week, right here on this same channel, on this same time slot, on the same YouTube channel and Facebook page, the full-time beast, Evan Atlas.
Yes, indeed. And Evan Atlas, of course, controversial elimination and some of his actions after the Gauntlet for Glory.
Yeah, he's got some questions. Professor, I'm going to let you have that one because he's got to answer some questions. The full time.
I think the SWO faithful are definitely asking the question.
Absolutely.
Was it just frustration, or is something bigger going on with Evan Atlas?
We're going to find out. For the Professor, the birthday boy, and Mr. Director. I'm Big Al. This has been Around the Turnbuckle. We'll see you guys next time.
You think you know me?
Oh, yeah! If you smile!
Calculations are correct.